Think about this. The Nuremberg trials were meant to bring Nazi leaders to justice, right? A global promise of accountability.
Yeah, that was absolutely the intention.
Yet somehow loads of high-ranking Nazis just vanished after World War II. It's pretty shocking stuff. Feels more like a spy thriller than history.
It really does. It challenges how we think about justice right after the war.
Yeah.
While the world was grappling with these, horrific atrocities, a surprising number of the people responsible were already planning their getaway.
Absolutely. And on this deep dive, that's exactly what we're digging into. We're looking at those secret networks, the Ratlines, and, well, the really controversial claims about the Vatican and the Red Cross being involved.
Right.
Our mission for you today is to sort through this complex history, to understand how these escapes actually happened. The sources we've looked at, they really shed light on the scale of it and the methods they used.
And to really get how these escape routes even started, you need to look at the situation right after the war ended. The Nuremberg trials being set up sent a clear message from the Allies.
A powerful message, definitely. Setting up a legal framework. But you can just imagine the sheer panic among the Nazi leadership, can't you? Those who really knew the extent of what they'd done, they knew what was coming if they got caught.
Oh, absolutely. That deep fear of facing justice, that was a huge driver. And, as the years passed after the war, something shifted subtly. The initial intense push for really severe, quick punishment seemed to, it lessened a bit in some places.
It's strange, isn't it? Like, the further away in time, the less immediate the danger seemed to some. By the mid-50s, the urgency, the severity, it wasn't quite the same everywhere, which of course made those escape routes even more critical for anyone still hiding.
And that's exactly where these hidden networks, these ratlines, come in. The name itself, it comes from sailing, actually.
Ratlines?
Like on a ship.
Yeah, the ropes you clung off the mast, it kind of suggests, a way up, a hidden path out of danger. A last resort, maybe.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. So like ropes on a mast, a way to climb away. And in this case, these routes were basically set up to get Nazis and their collaborators out, right, to safe places, mainly in the Americas.
Precisely. Our sources show a few main paths. There was the Iberian route, Germany, then through Spain, then off to Argentina.
Okay.
Then the really controversial one, the Vatican route, that supposedly went Germany to Rome, then Genoa, and then by ship to South America.
Rome and Genoa being key points there.
Definitely. And we also see a Nordic route, Denmark up to Sweden, and again, often ending up in Argentina.
Wow, mapping those out. It wasn't just a few isolated cases, was it? It sounds like a pretty organized system. Moving people across continents takes coordination.
Exactly. And we're not talking about low-level guys here. The evidence suggests these routes were specifically for the high-ranking Nazi officials, collaborators, and other war criminals, the ones with the most to fear from Allied justice.
Right. Let's focus in on that Vatican route then, because it gets so much attention. Italy, Rome specifically, seems like the hub for this one.
That's right. And one name keeps popping up. Bishop Alois Hudol, an Austrian bishop based in Rome. And his views were, very clearly pro-Nazi and intensely anti-communist. That's key to understanding his alleged part in all this.
Yeah, the sources make that pretty clear. Didn't he write a book back in '37 praising Hitler? That really tells you something about his thinking.
He did indeed, which underlines his ideology. And the allegations about his involvement are serious. He's said to have directly helped escaping Nazis get forged ID papers, travel documents.
Forged papers.
And here's the really explosive part. Some sources claim these were sometimes actual Vatican-issued documents, which then apparently helped them get passports from the Red Cross.
Wow. And the name supposedly helped by Udall, they're infamous, von Stangl, commandant at Treblinka, Joseph Mengele, the angel of death from Auschwitz, even Adolf Eichmann.
Some of the worst offenders imaginable. Hudol's motivation seems tied to his deep anti-communism. He apparently saw the Nazis and the Catholic Church as having a common enemy in the Soviet Union, especially in post-war Europe.
So in his mind, maybe he justified helping these guys, even knowing the horrors, as part of a bigger fight against communism.
That seems to be a big part of his thinking, yes. And he wasn't the only cleric involved, apparently. There are mentions of a Croatian priest, Krunoslav Draganovic, and his network helping the Croatian Ustaše regime members escape too.
It paints a really disturbing picture, doesn't it? Certain people within the church actively helping. But what was the Vatican's official position? Because the accounts differ here, right?
Exactly. This is where it gets murky.
Yeah.
Some accounts do suggest the Vatican officially disapproved. There are even claims Pope Pius XII wanted clergy involved in helping Nazis removed.
And we do see signs that top Vatican officials, like the future Pope Paul VI, were reportedly furious about the idea of the Vatican helping SS members. So there seems to have been pushback internally.
Right. That suggests official disapproval.
But if that was the official line, how did it keep happening? What allowed individuals like Hudal to operate? Were there like systemic weaknesses?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even with official disapproval, you had the post-war chaos, the sheer number of displaced people. It could have created openings for individuals like Hudal to act somewhat independently, maybe using existing church networks, exploiting their positions. Sometimes in big organizations, it's hard to completely stop individuals acting against the official line, especially in such turbulent times.
That's a really important point, the gap between official policy and individual actions. Okay, let's switch gears slightly to the International Committee of the Red Cross, the ICRC. Their main job was humanitarian aid, but their documents also pop up in these escape stories.
That's right. Their core mission was helping refugees, humanitarian work,
Yeah.
but their laissez-passer, basically a travel document, were reportedly used quite a bit by escaping Nazis.
And the most famous case is probably Adolf Eichmann, right? Using a Red Cross document as Ricardo Clement to get to Argentina in 1950, issued in Genoa again.
Exactly. And Eichmann wasn't alone. Many other Nazis and war criminals are thought to have used Red Cross papers to get out of Europe. Often, yes, getting them in Genoa.
So how do they get these Red Cross papers? The sources hint at a connection back to those dodgy Vatican documents we mentioned.
There are definitely allegations that fake Vatican ID papers were sometimes presented to get the Red Cross passports. It suggests a potential link, maybe an unintentional one, between the two organizations in enabling these escapes.
You have to think about the pressure on the ICRC after the war. Millions of displaced people needing papers. Could that sheer workload have created holes in the system that people exploited?
Oh, undoubtedly. The scale of the task was immense. That, plus people showing up with potentially convincing fake papers.
Yeah.
It could easily lead to war criminals slipping through accidentally.
Hmm.
And there are also suggestions, though debated by historians, that maybe some individuals inside the ICRC, maybe sympathizers or just overwhelmed staff, might have actively helped.
So, similar to the Vatican situation, we don't know for sure how much the ICRC leadership knew or was involved. It's contested.
It is. It really shows how even organizations trying to do good can struggle to control everything, especially in chaos.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even groups with the best intentions can be exploited or have people acting outside the rules, particularly right after a massive conflict.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to Eichmann, because his story really shows how these ratlines worked in practice. As the sources say, he was a key architect of the Holocaust.
Yes, absolutely central to the deportation and murder of millions of European Jews, a truly monstrous role.
Yeah.
After the war, he went underground in Austria, knowing full well what he'd done.
And then he moved around, eventually making it to Italy in 1950, which, as we said, was a major transit point.
It was. And it was in Genoa, like we mentioned, where he got that Argentine visa and the fake Red Cross passport as Ricardo Clement. Reports say a Franciscan monk helped, maybe with Hudal involved too.
So, with those papers, he sails to Buenos Aires in 1950 and just lives there for nearly 10 years, under a fake name, even working at Mercedes-Benz.
It's staggering, isn't it? Living relatively openly after orchestrating such horror. But justice did eventually catch up, thanks to people like Simon Wiesenthal, the Nazi hunters, and Israeli intelligence.
That capture by the Mossad in Buenos Aires in '60, spiriting him away to Israel, it's like something out of a movie. And his trial in Jerusalem a year later, that was huge. It laid bare the details of the Holocaust for the whole world.
A trial with immense global impact, yes. It really forced a confrontation with the specifics of the genocide. His conviction for crimes against humanity and execution in 1962 was a major moment, a step towards accountability.
And Argentina keeps coming up. Under President Juan Perón, it seems like the main destination for these escaping Nazis. Why was Argentina so welcoming?
Well, our sources point to a few things. Perón himself kind of admired German ideology, had close ties with Germany, Spain, Italy, and his government actively helped these fugitives arrive.
So it wasn't just turning a blind eye, they were actively recruiting them.
Pretty much. Reports suggest Argentine diplomats, intelligence officers, were actually told to encourage Nazi and fascist war criminals to come. Give them papers, even cover travel costs sometimes.
Why take that risk internationally? What was Perón's thinking?
It seems like a mix of things. Strategically, he saw a chance to boost Argentina. He wanted people with military, scientific, technical skills, tapping into the remnants of the Third Reich for talent.
Ah, okay.
Plus, Argentina was very hesitant to extradite anyone, so it got a reputation as a safe place to go.
Right, so ideology maybe played a part, but also this practical desire to build up Argentina's strength. Besides Eichmann, who else got away using these routes? Any other big names?
Oh, several other notorious figures. Josef Mengele Auschwitz's Angel of Death. He got to Argentina in '49 through Italy. Later moved to Paraguay, then Brazil. He actually evaded capture his whole life, died in Brazil in 1979.
And Klaus Barbie, the Butcher of Lyon. His story is particularly grim because the U.S. Counterintelligence Corps apparently helped him.
That's a really dark part of this history, yes. Barbie got to Bolivia in 1951 with U.S. help. It seems in the early Cold War, they valued his anti-communist intelligence more than his war crimes.
Unbelievable.
He was eventually extradited back to France in '83, convicted, died in prison.
Yeah.
But yeah, these cases show just how many prominent figures use these networks.
It's just sobering, the numbers involved. So, pulling it together, what were the main reasons why all these different people and groups helped them escape? It seems so varied.
It really was multifaceted. That strong anti-communist feeling in the early Cold War was huge for some, like Hudel. They genuinely saw communism as the bigger threat.
Right.
Then you had Western intelligence, like with Barbie, prioritizing anti-Soviet assets.
Yeah.
Argentina had its own strategic goals, wanting skilled people. And sadly, you had situations where initial aid meant for genuine refugees, maybe from the Vatican or Red Cross, got exploited by war criminals.
So not always pure ideology. Sometimes it was strategic calculation or just exploitation of systems.
Exactly. It shows the messy, conflicting priorities of the post-war world.
And the scale of it. How many Nazis are we actually talking about who slipped away?
The estimates vary, but some suggest as many as 10,000 Nazis and other fascist war criminals got out of Europe after the war. Argentina seems to have been the main destination, maybe taking in half of those, perhaps 5,000, even up to 10,000 people.
10,000. Wow.
And other South American countries, Brazil, Chile, Paraguay, others took in hundreds, maybe thousands more. It just shows how effective these networks were and what a massive challenge it was for anyone trying to bring them to justice.
And you think about the Holocaust survivors, the impact must have been just devastating, knowing that the people who tormented them just disappeared, were living freely somewhere else. That adds another layer of injustice, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Imagine surviving that horror, only to learn your persecutors escaped.
Yeah.
It undoubtedly added to the trauma, the feeling that justice wasn't served. That's why the work of Nazi hunters like Simon Wiesenthal was so crucial, keeping the issue alive, pushing for accountability.
And it seems like there's been a renewed push recently for more openness, more accountability. Argentina declassifying documents about Nazi activity there.
Yes, releasing over 1,850 documents, digitizing them. That's a significant step towards uncovering more of this hidden history. And similarly, the Vatican opening its archives from Pius XII's time during the war. Many hope that will shed more light on the Church's actions, including those ratlines.
These efforts, happening decades later, really show a continued commitment to understanding this period and its legacy, don't they?
They really do. It highlights that searching for historical truth, pursuing accountability, even after so much time, is still seen as vital.
So wrapping up our deep dive, we've looked at this startling reality, high-ranking Nazis escaping justice via these secret ratlines. We've touched on the very debated roles of individuals linked to the Vatican and the Red Cross, Argentina's role as a safe haven, and the lasting impact on survivors. Exactly. We've seen this complex mix of reasons, ideology, Cold War politics, strategic game that allowed these escapes on such a large scale. It raises big questions about what accountability even means after a major conflict.
And it leaves you thinking, doesn't it? When you consider this whole tangled web of assistance and just how many people got away, what does that tell us about holding people accountable, about the long shadow warcasts? It really makes you consider these ongoing debates about historical truth, transparency, and how hard and how long the pursuit of justice can sometimes be.